Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerate it. I know words. Mike Pounds.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation.
But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Had the best words. God bless the United States.
Around the nation, Jeff Waller here. Welcome to the show. We got a good show for you guys here today. We got a bunch of different stories. Got a lot of video clips here. We're going to talk, obviously, about Ben Shapiro accidentally making our point for us. Oops. That's awesome. When it comes to systemic racism, of course, we've got the new ad from the Lincoln Project. We're going to talk about that and also talk about why we should not like the Lincoln Project, even though they do awesome ads. We're going to talk about that. We've got Pelosi on Donald Trump and his coronavirus reaction. Geraldo is defending Ghislaine Maxwell. And then we've got pissed off soccer moms on our side. Fun times. So we've got that good stuff here. We'll start out with, of course, Pelosi. We'll talk about her hitting Donald Trump. We don't talk about Nancy Pelosi very much, but we're going to in today's show because for once she actually says something correct. Anyway. You guys know I'm not a huge fan of Nancy Pelosi. But anyway, so we're going to do all that. But first, I do have to ask you guys for a favor to please like and share the stream. It helps us out immensely. That's why I always ask you guys to do it. Also, super chats. Got a couple already from Dango Bangle, who asked, do I think Trump will be questioned by Congress for his Maxwell Ghislaine comment? No. I don't think so. I do not think so at all. Yeah, a little late on my coffee. It's like burnt. Like I put it on like an hour ago, and then I had like a whole bunch of stuff to do. And so I ended up burning my coffee. Sorry, Sam. Ben Shapiro, we go. Yes, Anonymous. I'm actually feeling quite better now. So thank you. All right. Anyway. So let's get going.
Well, I think with the president's comments today, he recognized the mistakes that he has made by now embracing mask wearing, and the recognition this is not a hoax, it is a pandemic that has gotten worse before it will get better because of his inaction, and in fact, clearly, it is the Trump virus.
All right. That was House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, of course, commenting about Donald Trump's most recent briefing at the White House on Tuesday, he brought back the coronavirus briefings. And in it, of course, there was a lot of doom saying, well, yeah, we're not going to be, it's going to be worse before it gets better. Well, that's funny. I mean, we're worst out of basically every single country when it comes to coronavirus. And now you're saying, oh, it'll be worse before it gets better. Well, now, wait a minute. Before you were saying that, oh, don't worry, it'll just disappear like magic. Yeah, in the summertime. Yeah, okay. So, look, that was, of course, Donald Trump's first coronavirus briefing. Since it became obvious that it's not just going to go away. In fact, he's now saying the same thing that I've been saying. It's going to get worse before it gets better. If only there was someone who had been in charge, who could have done something to ensure that we had flattened the curve as a country. Perhaps enacted some policies that would help people economically weather this virus while also being able to keep themselves, their families, and their communities safe. If only there had been some sort of person in such position of power, Donald Trump, who would set an example for everyone else by wearing masks and telling people to wear masks. Like perhaps maybe someone who had been chosen by the plurality of people. But of course, we don't seem to have that. Too bad. In fact, Nancy Pelosi is going to go a little bit further in this next video. Here it is.
If he had said months ago, let's wear masks, let's socially distance instead of having rallies and political whatever they were, then more people would have followed his lead as the president of the United States.
What you're saying is that thousands of Americans have died because of what the president has done or not done. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think it's clearly evident.
Oh, Jesus, thank God. Finally. Look, you guys know I'm not a Pelosi fan. I'm guessing a lot of you aren't either. At least, those of you in my core audience. In fact, I love it how the writer for The Hill calls her, criticism, which is 100% true, by the way. They said it was one of the strongest rebukes yet of Trump's handling of the pandemic. I'm sorry. Do they ever even listen to independent media? No, of course not. Of course not. This has been an absolute debacle. So, yeah, saying that Donald Trump is definitely on the hook. Thousands of people did die because of Donald Trump's disastrous response. 100% true. It's not a strong rebuke. It's facts. It's facts. He has the blood of thousands of people on his hand, and many more will if he continues to adopt the policy of trying to send the kids back to school before they're ready. I mean, look, in the fall, right? We're not ready for that because COVID cases are continuing to rise. Even if we all adopted wearing masks right now, doing the social distancing, which I doubt is going to actually happen, even so, the time that it will take for the cases to fall and flatline, flatten that curve, will take longer than just the fall. He's already looking to send kids back to school next month. No, unacceptable. Kids are not ready. Had we actually done this a couple of months ago, yes, then yes. And by the way, it's just words, right? There's no actual policies being floated by Donald Trump and the Republicans to actually do something about the virus. So it's all complete and utter empty bullshit. And it's because Donald Trump is losing badly in the polls. And he's afraid that the Republican Party, well, he's not afraid, right? He doesn't care about the Republican Party. But the Republican Party is afraid that they're going to go down the drain with him. And so that's why they're like, get in front of the crowds, get in front of the camera and tell everybody to wear their masks. That's great. Let's do that. But look, I would love for Nancy Pelosi to be stronger, to actually call out the real issues before it's like super incredibly late. And that's the thing, right? That's the problem. It always takes the entire house being on fire for the Democrats to actually call it out, to bravely call it a house fire. I mean, generally they won't do it because, look, progressives, we've been calling this out for months, right? We have been telling it like it is. We've been warning people, hey, This is a serious issue. Donald Trump's inaction is literally killing people. Whereas the Democrats, the corporate Democrats, the establishment are sitting there and saying, well, I mean, we could do it. He could do just, he could do a little bit more. He should probably believe in science. That would probably help. And no, you got to actually be strong. You got to be tough. If this guy is such a danger, right, that you keep saying in your ads, right, and you keep saying, well, then continue to call him out for this. Continue to do that. Don't worry about what Fox News is going to say about this. Republicans, I mean, look, the criticisms of Trump and his handling of the pandemic have been a little too tepid. I would have been a lot stronger. Now, the Never Trump Republicans, however, they've been ripping him a new ass. But we shouldn't be relying on Republicans to fight Trump. And also, by the way, when the Democrats do fight Donald Trump, it's usually through symbolic gestures. And that's the other problem I have with them. Nancy Pelosi ripping up a speech, but then also signing on to, add more people to, or add more money to the Pentagon. Or just a recent vote. We're just slashing the Pentagon budget just 10% in the middle of a pandemic was rejected by Congress. I mean, seriously. You can't even cut the Pentagon by 10%. 10%. That's the moderate proposal. I mean, Jesus. We can't even do that. So the Democrats are pretty useless. But when it comes to, fighting against Donald Trump, they're supposed to be the resistance, but they're just barely resisting and really resisting in name only, right? We shouldn't be relying on Republicans or Never Trump Republicans to fight against Trump in the way that we need to fight against him, right? And besides, that once Donald Trump's gone, they're going to turn that right back around on progressives, right? Or worse, they're going to continue to turn the Democratic Party into the Republican Party of 25 years ago. No, we don't want to go in that direction. But hey, Trump virus, I guess it's something. All right. Moving on. Sorry, guys, you're going to have to listen to Ben Shapiro for a second.
I mean, it's shocking and devastating because it means one of two things. Either a majority of Americans believe that their family, friends, and neighbors are actually racist because American society is racist, or they believe that the institutions of American society are so deeply corrupt and systematically racist that they have to be razed to the ground. The only solution, if you believe that society at this moment in 2020 is systemically racist or inherently racist, is complete destruction of the system.
Yes, absolutely. That was Ben Shapiro inadvertently getting to the point exactly that we wanted to make. Well done, Ben. Well done. Conservatives accidentally coming to the conclusion. So obviously Ben Shapiro referencing a poll here, right? So that's the entire thing. This entire segment is about a poll done by the Wall Street Journal and NBC News. And then they found that 56% of voters say the American society overall is racist. Yep. Yeah. The majority in this case is absolutely right. And it only took a pandemic where, a lot of people could actually stay home and pay attention to the news, as well as the murder of man, George Floyd, by police officers kneeling on the man's neck for 8.5 minutes for people to realize, oh, damn, I guess this is kind of a racist country. So anyway, now understand that we're about only 60 years shy of ending the Jim Crow era, right? And so that's really, there are people still alive who grew up at a time when black people literally had to drink from separate fountains. So understand that we're nowhere near over racism. We still have things that, in our system, in our government, that are leftovers from racism. Those institutions are still there and still in effect in many places. I can give you a great example, the Electoral College. Now, a lot of people don't know the racist history of the Electoral College. They think, oh, well, Electoral College, obviously it's there. That's how we choose president. And in fact, the Electoral College is basically how Donald Trump won his election. He didn't win the popular vote. We didn't have direct democracy. And in fact, the framers rejected direct democracy. One of those was James Madison. Now, in theory, he said he supported direct democracy, but there was a problem. He said this, quote, "The right of suffrage was much more diffusive in the northern than in the southern states, and the latter could have no influence in the election on the score of the Negroes. The substitution of electors obviated this difficulty and seemed on the whole to be liable to fewest objections." So now basically he's explaining why we couldn't have direct democracy, why we were going with the Electoral College. Because if somehow, I should say, if Northern blacks got the right to vote, then the South would never win. Southern states would never win any elections ever. And so the Southern slave states were like, well, we can't have that happen because, well, what would blacks do if they vote? Well, they would abolish slavery. They would vote politicians in that were abolitionists, and they would abolish slavery, therefore ending our, monetary system, our system of, transatlantic slave trading and human chattel that we rely on for our vast fortunes. I can't have that. Nope. So we cannot allow for direct democracy to ever take place. So we're going to put in this Electoral College. And so, look, that and by the way, like the framers, even if they did believe in like abolition or which many of them did not, or direct democracy, they still had to make a deal with those southern slave states. And so that's what they did in order to get them to sign into the Constitution. So that is a racist institution that we have had in this country since its inception, where, people who wanted to own other human beings because they're black and believed that they were subhuman and therefore, could be treated as property and be property. Those are the people that did create and found our country. We should get rid of that system. Like we got rid of poll taxes, like we got rid of IQ tests for voting, which we had in this country. Like we should also eliminate voter ID laws. Those same voter ID laws keep getting struck down by the Supreme Court because, on their foundation, they're meant to be racist, to prevent black people from going to the polls. So, look, let me frame it this way, right? A country that wasn't founded on the very least racist compromise, right, wouldn't have to keep squashing racist ideas to disenfranchise large sections of the population. Now, would it? No, it wouldn't have the modern picture of slavery, by the way, to be disproportionate populations of black men being incarcerated and then, being contracted to work for free for the state, cleaning roads, fighting fires, and doing other dangerous jobs, which we do have right now in America. Those are some examples of how the system is racist, and I can go into a lot more. For example, the history of redlining, destroying Black Wall Street, all those different things, okay? But yes, we have institutions here in America that work against people of color, and they should absolutely be destroyed. We should dismantle those ideas. Thank you for the inspiration, Ben. Thank you for, showing us the solution is to raise that system. And by the way, the idea, by the way, where he talked about, well, I mean, either it's the majority of Americans that believe that their family, friends, and neighbors are, actually racist. Well, you know what? That framing is crap because let's understand, right? People do have an implicit bias. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're racist, but I have to understand, or people have to understand that, you can have these implicit biases against people of color. Like, for example, you get raised with it. I was raised with that. I was raised with some of those misconceptions. And that's super uncomfortable for people to admit. Again, doesn't mean you're wearing a Klan hood at night, but it does mean that, for example, you cast doubt on a black woman being a successful doctor or a lawyer or a business professional, what have you, right? Like, you don't consider those people, or you say things like, for a black person, you are really articulate. That's one of those things. It's like, wait, why wouldn't I be articulate? What are you applying, right? It's those little things, right? That's part of implicit bias. And so, yes, that does play into racism because, again, you have those tropes and those stereotypes that have been floating around for quite some time. And you also have those institutions. You also have, things like, disastrous things like blackface that still happen in this country. And so, yes, we need to solve those things. And in order to do so, we've got to have some very difficult conversations about some very difficult truths. Okay. But Ben here, Ben just thinks that it's the TV's fault.
I wonder how much of this is just a certain amount of cultural pressure to cave to a particular narrative pushed by the media. You're not going to get called out or canceled if you say that you believe America is systemically racist and that you are all in favor of people kneeling for the national anthem or for the American flag. You will get canceled if you say the opposite.
All right. Oh, it's a media, cancel culture. It's got to be the pressure because no one could ever, really be waking up to the fact that for a majority of our history, racism has played a giant role in America. Oh, no. America is 100% pure, 100% perfect. We've never had anything bad that happened in the past. And when we do, we kind of whitewash it to make it not seem so terrible because America is so great. Well, you know what? I actually want America to be great. You know what would be great? Not having racism. Not actually systemically repressing a group of people based on the color of their skin. That'd be great. That'd be great. Look, we can either be ignorant to the fact that we have had racism in this country and still do, and still have racist institutions, because it feels better, or we should face up to the facts and actually fix it and make this country better, make this country more inclusive so that, everyone can do better. And we can actually have the American dream for everybody. Wouldn't that be great? Well, I guess not for people like Ben Shapiro. All right.
I wonder how much of this is just a certain...
Okay. Anyway, I got to change that video. Guy talks way too fast. The Lincoln Project is out with a new vicious ad, and it pokes fun at the president's terrible interview with Chris Wallace.
If I may, sir, respectfully, in the Fox poll, they asked people who is more competent, whose mind is sounder.
Yeah.
Biden beats you in that.
Let's take a test. Let's go down. Joe and I will take a test. Let him take the same test that I took.
Incidentally, I took the test too when I heard that you passed it. Well, it's not the hardest test.
Nobody's done what I've done.
It's a picture and it says what's that, and it's an elephant.
No. See, that's all misrepresentation. Yes, the first few questions are easy, but I'll bet you couldn't even answer the last 5 questions. I'll bet you couldn't. They get very hard, the last 5
Well,
questions.
one of them was count back from 100 by 7.
And let me tell you, you couldn't answer
All right, what's the question?
many of the questions. I'd get you the test. I'd like to give it. But I guarantee you that Joe Biden could not answer those questions.
Okay.
Don't you believe America deserves a president who doesn't brag he can spot an elephant?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty bad. Okay. Vicious ad, as always. Making fun of Trump, using Chris Wallace. Digging the Seinfeld music in the laugh track, though. Gotta love that. So, look, if you watch the whole thing, and that's most of it, basically. But it's a highlight of most of the dumb things that he said during that interview, and there was a lot. So actually, we could call it probably a low light. So now, the good thing about that is I don't really have to go through and debunk some of the crap that he said, because you guys either already know it, he's doing disastrously in the polls, but also the fact that Chris Wallace essentially destroys him. But the ad, in general, is designed to get under Donald Trump's skin. There's another, of course, audience that's targeted for that. And I'll get into that in a minute. But I just got to say, getting under Donald Trump's skin is something that the Republicans are really, really good at. You know why? Because they don't mind being vicious. They don't care about policy. But in this election, these kind of ads actually work. And normally they don't. Normally, of course, people would want a little bit, to know a little bit more about policy and things like that. Or at least I think that that's the case. I think that's important to talk about policy. But with Trump, again, getting under his skin is just fun. And that, of course, gets me to that later point of who the audience is. But that said, I wouldn't completely leave policy out of ads. I'd probably do a couple, about Donald Trump not having any sort of policy, nothing that really helps the American people. And, the fact that him dealing with COVID and Black Lives Matter, this has been an absolute debacle. And that's just me. But the audience, as I said before, this isn't made to appeal to Republicans that are pro-Trump or that are even on the fence when it comes to Donald Trump, which I don't really think any Republicans are at this point. No, this is made for libs. Of course it's made for libs. That's the target audience. And that's admittedly probably why I enjoy them, because it is targeted towards people that, are obviously against Trump. But there's a bad side to that. And one of the reasons is that this is leading to liberals showering a Republican organization with cash. How much cash? Well, the Lincoln Project said last week that it raised about $16.8 million in the second quarter of 2020 alone. These Republicans, they figured out how to perfect the grift. You put out good ads that are targeted towards Democrats. And again, they're fun. I do enjoy them. And you end up raising millions from unsuspecting liberals. And then you turn around later on and use the money against progressive Democrats. I mean, helps the establishment, obviously. It helps Pelosi, helps Schumer, helps the DNC, and it helps them to fight back against progressives. Again, that's my speculation. They haven't actually done that yet. But you think the Lincoln Project isn't going to attack progressive Democrats once they get rid of Donald Trump, or at least people that were in the Lincoln Project? I see it coming. Not good. And look, Emma Vigeland also had a warning about this. Here's what she tweeted quite some time ago, actually. She said the Lincoln Project isn't just a vehicle for grifter GOP strategists to take MSNBC fans' money and put it directly in their pockets, which is exactly what they're doing, by the way. A lot of these people, Rick Wilson, for example, is constantly on MSNBC. And so is Steve Schmidt. George Conway is basically vaunted as a resistance hero on Twitter. And so, no, these guys they're collecting a lot of money because, well, they can't get it from the Republicans. A lot of the donors have actually run away from Donald Trump, except for a couple of very big mega donors. Now, she continues with her tweet. She said it's also a Trojan horse for ex-Bush aides to influence Biden if he wins, leveraging their 2020 help to counteract an insurgent progressive wing. And she's absolutely right. And I don't think people have really looked at this tweet and really analyzed just how correct that she is. 100%. 100%. You know who runs this. George Conway, Rick Wilson, Bill Kristol, Steve Schmidt. These people are the worst of the Bush era Republicans. They are not liberal. They are anti-progressive. And they also don't represent the Republican Party, who, by the way, overwhelmingly backed Donald Trump. He's got over 86% approval. So Again, this is what they're doing, right? They are marketing towards liberals and they are grifting from liberals who are anti-Trump. So again, funny and good ads aside, and the quality of these are top notch. Understand, right? But remember, just please remember who these people really are. They want to get back into power. They want to be rehabilitated. And unfortunately, the Democrats are giving them a home. They're giving them a home because, well, hey, you're not Trump. Yeah, but where do you differ on policy? Maybe you're not quite into separating children from their parents at the border. Okay, well, there's one policy difference, maybe, but you are for increased immigration, not increased immigration, sorry, decreased immigration, right? Putting up barriers, making it difficult for immigrants to get into this country, making it more difficult for them to get things that they need to survive in this country, not doing a pathway to citizenship. Remember, the Republican Party torpedoed its own pathway to citizenship bill back during the Obama years. And these same people, by the way, were saying the most heinous things about the LGBT community, right? About Barack Obama. So now they're suddenly saying, "Oh, don't worry, we're now on your side because of Donald Trump." Understand that they're not. They're really not. They are not our allies. They are not our friends. And I know some people are saying, "Well, yeah, but the enemy of our enemy is our friend." We'll call it maybe a fair weather frenemy at this point, because what they're doing now is, yes, they're focusing fire on Donald Trump, but later on, after they've collected all this liberal, MSNBC viewer money, they're going to turn around and use it against us. So please, don't send them your money. You can laugh at their ads. You can enjoy them. I do. Again, since they get under Donald Trump's skin. But if you're progressive at all, just know that this money that they're being showered in right now is going to be used against you in the near future. So just watch out for it and realize just who these people really are. That is my warning. All right. I'm going to take a break here. We're going to come back. We got more stories here, including Geraldo saying unfortunate things, taking unfortunate positions for him, of course, and then angry Portland moms. Fun times. All right. So stay right here. Be back in a few minutes. I'm going to thank some patrons, read some super chats. There's plenty here. And so we'll do all that right after this break. Around the Nation.
tolerate it.
Mike Pence.
Wait, you're getting nervous, man.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry.
Welcome back to the show, Around the Nation, right here, TOT Nation. Jeff Walder here with you. All right, so channel members, I want to give a shout out to CMD63 and Christy Sparkman. So thank you. If you want to sign up to be a channel member, hit the join button below. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to the patrons for the day. Patreon seems to be having a problem, at least for me, that I couldn't access it. But anyway, there is some great comments here and great super chats from you guys. So I'm going to read a couple of those. Morlangal Amathar quotes Michael Brooks, the late Michael Brooks. Be hard on systems and gentle on people. Absolutely. So look, I'm going to try to do that a little bit more because, yeah, look, us on the left especially, we need to build coalitions and we need to be kind to people. And also something that, that he had really talked about a lot is bringing a bit of spirituality back to the left. I'm not a spiritual person. I'm not a religious person. But at the same time, maybe we need to be a little bit more accepting of people who have those views, and not just accepting, but welcoming of those views onto the left. So we should definitely do that. Okay. Let's see. One more here. A couple more. Let's see. Anonymous says, I prefer to think of it as a temporary ceasefire. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I suppose it's good to look at that. All right. Let's see. A couple more here. Yeah, you missed half the show already. Bummer. Oh, read some super chats. Let's see. Dango Bangle says, vote Shahid Buttar. He's on a roll. All right. Adrian Benningfield says, it's already too late. The cultists won't stop. Anonymous says, Ben Shapiro looks and sounds like two kids in a trench coat pretending to be an adult. Nice. Very nice. Fun. What if that's true? What if he's been deceiving us this whole time? Deceiver. Ben Shapiro. All right. And Star Check points out, fights broke out at my local Walmart. Darren's and Karen's refused to wear masks. The cops had to park cars out front. Totally sad. Thanks, Trump. Yeah. All of our chats are super. They kind of are, really, when you think about it, because you guys are super. You guys are incredible. And I love reading your comments, and I like the fact that you guys are part of the show, and that I try to include you in the show. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Patreon has been down most of the day. Yeah, that sucks because I do want to thank patrons. Every one of you, helps to keep us going on this show, and y'all are really important. So, really important to me. Thank you. Let's see. More here. Again, great comments. One on Geraldo, who's coming up next, actually. James Williams says, the only time I'll watch Geraldo is when I'm laying in a hospital bed while brain dead, because that's the actual prerequisite to watch him. So let's get to Geraldo and some of his brain dead opinions. Geraldo Rivera can't seem to stop defending accused sex trafficker and Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell. So now on social media, the Fox correspondent put up a nice, another defense, right? Both Trump and Maxwell after the president wished her well during a press conference. Now, you guys, of course, remember this moment from yesterday.
Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Not aware of it.
I don't know. I've been following it too much, really. I don't really care about it. But I lived there, and so I hung out with him a couple of times. I know. I remember one of the stories that came out where Trump was visiting Epstein. Right. Remember, they had a party, right, where it was just Trump and Epstein and like 28 girls, and I mean some of them girls, not women. And so I remember I think hearing Trump talk about this. There was something about how Epstein, really likes him young. And something about like seeing some young kids in the pool, and I lost track on that, so we'll just forget that. But anyway, a lot of creepy stuff around Epstein, a lot of creepy stuff around Donald Trump as well, who has been on a lot of Epstein's Bart is playing a lot. And look, let's be fair, Bill Clinton did too. And some of them people went to that island of Epstein's. And so, I mean, was Geraldo one of them? I don't know. But anyway, it's kind of funny that when you think about it, isn't there the fact that there is a section of the internet that believes that Donald Trump is about to unmask a giant sex trafficking ring? I mean, if he's doing that, would you really wish a person accusing or accused of doing so, like, why would you wish them well? Why would that happen? I mean, I know what some of the responses would be to that. Don't you please playing the five-dimensional chess, and you're all brainwashed sheep, and so you don't believe that this is going to happen. But Donald Trump's any day now, he's going to mask the giant pedophile cabal in the government. You'll see. You'll all see. Sure. But seriously, no. We have someone right now who is accused of basically trafficking children and grooming girls as young as 14 years old for sex with Epstein and other powerful, wealthy people. Those people are the same people that are very, very nervous right now. And so, look, speaking of nervous, right? These comments are upsetting a lot of people, have upset a lot of Republicans, right? Chip Roy, who's a Republican out of Texas, representative, he said, "This is unacceptably obtuse for a woman accused of the most morally depraved of crimes," adding that Maxwell needs to be severely punished. I don't disagree with that. Chip Roy, again, is one of them. There are others, but not Geraldo. No, not Geraldo. So here's what he said. With media mob eager to see her lynched, oh my God, it was brave to weigh in. Wait a minute, it's brave to weigh in and say, well, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know anything about this. I haven't really been following, but I wish her well. That's bravery to Geraldo. Bravery, saying, I don't know a damn thing. Bravery. No, that sounds like ass kissing to me, at least when it comes to Geraldo and Donald Trump. Come on, dude. But more. He said, fact. Cases versus her for crimes allegedly committed more than 25 years ago. There's no statute on human trafficking. I'm just saying, no statute on that kind of sex crime. In all of the allegations against Ghislaine Maxwell have no statute of limitations. So then he added, she deserved bail and got solitary confinement. Woke politics. So wait. You are basically saying that someone that is accused of child trafficking and grooming young girls for sex, that's the victim here of the woke mob, of woke politics. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. Not only that, but you're throwing in the coded language about lynching, right? That's just, I mean, that's nowhere near. If you actually ever understood the history of lynching, you would know that that's not even near that. Okay. And by the way, solitary confinement is not only for, is basically for her protection and to make sure that she doesn't Epstein herself or get Epstein. And not getting bail is explained by the fact that she is a flight risk with all of her connections. I mean, she was evading police for a year. You don't think that she would hop out of the country if she has the chance? It's perfectly reasonable to see why the judge made that decision. It was a smart decision. Nonetheless, this is a theme that we're seeing with Geraldo saying very dumb things. As the Daily Beast notes, Rivera's defense of Maxwell comes days after he went after the judge assigned to the Epstein Associates case. Shortly after U.S. District Judge Allison Nathan denied Maxwell bail and set her trial for next July, Rivera accused Nathan of chickening out and caving to the mob. Again, with the I can't believe the woke mobs are going after a accused child trafficker. Shouldn't that be a thing that we should go after? I mean, yes, I know, hasn't been proven in court because she hasn't been to court yet. But I'm guessing they've got a pretty good case. Just saying. But look, he also went on to claim that Nathan caved to political and social pressure, a la Ben Shapiro, while insisting that the charges against Maxwell are quote unquote wobbly. Hey, you know how we figure out if the charges are wobbly? We use the justice system. I mean, let it play out. Just let it play out. Let her have her day in court. And if she's innocent, like she claims, then Geraldo will be vindicated, I guess. But look, speaking of him, the spirited defense of Ghislaine Maxwell, knowing her connections and knowing what she allegedly had done, it makes a lot of people wonder about if Geraldo is actually hiding anything. Like, are you getting nervous?
Why? You're getting nervous, man.
Like, come on. Are you nervous? So people have said that. One person pointed out that she's been indicted for multiple counts of sex trafficking of minors. Numerous victims have come forward to testify against her, and here you are all concerned about her image in the press. Wonder why, Geraldo? Another person asks, are you seriously defending a woman who has been involved in the sex trafficking of children? What the F is wrong with you? Yeah. And you think she magically stopped doing these things in the last 25 years? She got something on you too? Another person who is, by the way, probably a conservative, seems like a conservative, seems like somebody who might even be a follower of the Q thing, says this: Geraldo, I've always stuck up for you for some reason. You are a likable guy to me, I guess. But I can't believe you keep coming to her defense. One has to wonder what the not so obvious reason is. Another person points out, so what you're saying is you're on the Epstein flight logs too? Well, yeah, a lot of people are. Just saying. And finally, Tommy Vieter says this: so sick of all these woke warriors and their media mobs criticizing convicted sex offenders and their enablers. How dare they? In case you couldn't tell, lots of sarcasm. But seriously, though, little suspect. I wonder what's going to come out if Maxwell is able to sing to the feds. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see if Maxwell survives. And again, that is That is the question. All right. If I were her, I'd be very, very concerned. All right. Anonymous with a super chat. Thank you, by the way. Says that mustache makes it look like Geraldo recently lost his job collecting kids for Ghislaine Maxwell in his nondescript candy van. Ow. Wow. Okay. Head Crab in the chat says, this knows no political side or borders, expose them all. I agree. 100%. 100%. This is something that I think we can all agree on. I mean, everyone should be able. But even so, if you browse through Geraldo, the responses to Geraldo on Twitter, you will immediately get sad. It will be very sad. Disagree, Valerie. In a lot of cases, yes, they do get away with it because they are wealthy and powerful. But this right here is one of those things that is actually something that is just 100% abhorrent. They'd never be able to get away with it because of the outrage would be so enormous on all sides. And so the only way that I could see them doing so is if they get rid of the evidence, which would be, of course, to eliminate Maxwell. And so that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just, we saw what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. No way he killed himself. No way. All right. Now let's move on. The protests in Portland continue as Donald Trump's police force cracks down against apparently soccer moms and dudes with leaf blowers. Now, these protests, of course, have happened nightly since the end of May for Black Lives Matter, of course. Now, the reason these protests started, of course, is because the death of George Floyd was basically a catalyst. Police murdered this man, along with numerous others. Breonna Taylor, for example, her killers are still have not been brought to justice. They shot and killed her 8 times, breaking into her apartment, looking for somebody that they already had in custody. No reason for them to break into that apartment whatsoever. And these stories like these play out and have played out across the country. And so people in Portland are especially fed up with this and have been protesting ever since. And so now another story to bring up is the death of Jason Washington, a new focus of the protests. He was a black resident of the city who was shot and killed by police back in 2018. And so all of this is coming out now. So there are a lot of protests. And most of the protests, a large majority of them, have been peaceful, nonviolent. There hasn't been, and you've noticed that the news coverage of this has tapered off. Why? Well, it's because the limited riots that they were having are now gone, and so there's really no need for massive media attention. Most of the protests have been peaceful, but Donald Trump sent the troops in anyway. He's threatening to send the troops into other places as well, places that are, of course, heavily minority, to crack down on those peaceful protesters. And in fact, these troops that have been sent in to restore order have actually been kidnapping people off the streets and, in unmarked vans and unmarked vehicles for things like graffiti, which now, by the way, is punishable with 10 years in prison under Trump for graffiti, stuff that you can wash off. So understand, that's, I think, a blatant federal abuse of power. And so a lot of Portland residents are not happy about this. And now the moms have joined in to try to stop them. And so as a group known as the Wall of Moms, and it is, generally white women, because let's be honest, black mothers have been fighting this war all their own for a long time. But hey, at least it's good to get reinforcements in the case of the Wall of Moms. And they're known as that because they interlocked their arms to prevent cops from gassing protesters. Except it didn't work because they got gassed themselves. That's a federal crime, by the way. Like, using tear gas, you're not actually supposed to be able to use tear gas in America. So that said, right? Now, with the moms not deterring this action, here comes the dads with leaf blowers. I'm not kidding. Video from confrontations between demonstrators and officers on Monday night into Tuesday morning highlighted how protesters used hockey sticks to scoot tear gas canisters back towards those who fired them, and leaf blowers as a means to dissipate clouds of chemicals away from protesters. Smaller leaf blowers were also used to help get chemicals off people's bodies, according to the videos. In fact, we've got a little bit of a snippet of that I want to show you. Here come the leaf blowers. That's awesome. And a really good idea, actually, when it comes to dealing with tear gas. Not something you would think you would have to deal with in everyday life. But again, this is Trump's America, where you're not actually able to protest about Black lives. You are able to protest, if you think that lockdown restrictions and wearing a mask is tyranny. But when it comes to actual tyranny against Black people, well, no, you can't protest. We're going to send in the troops. We're going to send in the feds. Whatever happened to the NRA? Talking about, government overreach and the government stepping on people. Whatever happened to the Tea Party? Where are those guys? Oh, right. They're the ones saying, oh, no, guys, go home. Listen to what the government's telling you and stop protesting. Okay, just go home. Okay, just go home, guys. Okay. Now, if somebody tells me to wear a mask, I'm gonna strap on my AR-15. I'm going to go out and I'm going to protest. But for you, to just go home. Stop protesting, please. Listen to the government. Now, what's funny is that after word of the leaf blowers reached the Department of Homeland Security, which should be abolished, about the use of leaf blowers, an official within the department told a Washington Post reporter, Nick Miroff, that they were frustrated with efforts by protesters to do so, and were shocked that they would return the chemicals back towards the federal officers. Well, yeah. What did they just expect you to sit there and take it and just take a nice big breath of the chemicals that you shouldn't even be using? By the way, during a pandemic, during COVID-19, okay, where you have a respiratory disease, you're using tear gas. Yeah, real nice. So that is kind of hilarious. Now, there's some social media posts on that, which were fun. One person adding, the only way to stop a bad guy with tear gas is a good guy with a leaf blower. I like that. Our democracy is being destroyed by people who lost a battle of wits to a leaf blower. That's also really good. So that's fun. Now, a protester by the name of King Turner had actually spoke to a local news affiliate, KPTV, about the demonstrations and the federal government's basically invasion of the area. They said that their presence, not the protests, are what escalated the situation. Quote, I've just had enough. When they started snatching people off the street, it becomes apparent that the federal government is just not in check. It was even tampering down, and then the feds get involved and lit it up. It's like throwing gas on a fire. Yeah, that's what you don't want to do. But that's exactly what it's happening. Look, people in Portland, the Portland mayor says, "Get out! I don't need you here. I don't want you here. You're actually making things worse." And of course, this is the whole point of like over militarization of police and using the federal troops to disperse something that actually could have been controlled by local police had they just been there to keep the peace. That's it. That's all we want. Like, okay, police, just keep the peace, right? That's all we're asking. Let people have their First Amendment rights. Let them protest. Yes, they can get a little loud, and that's fine. That's acceptable. All right? It is a protest. You don't need to be firing tear gas at people that are marching. Okay, you just can't do that. You can't do that. Now, a protester who goes by the alias Doug Smith, smart to use an alias, and who spoke the truth out about the events in Portland, also said this. This data expresses disdain for Trump using so-called elite Border Patrol agents to brutally assault and abduct peaceful American people in an American city. Look, if any other country had done this, the United States would be calling to invade them over human rights abuses, especially if they have oil. Let's be honest about that, right? If they have oil, oh my God, human rights abuses. We gotta go in, send in the troops. Corporate Democrats would be like, where were the Republicans? Send in the troops. Look, if you think they're violent thugs, by the way, understand the crimes that people are being accused of are mainly being at the protests, and some that, yes, vandalize in the form of graffiti. Graffiti, but like I said, being kidnapped in an unmarked van over painting BLM on a wall or a statue, something that can be easily cleaned up, by the way, and should be easily cleaned up. That's worthy of being basically having jackbooted thugs who don't identify themselves like a fascist country come in and abduct you off the street. No, that's absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable. These are our First Amendment rights. I mean, protesting. And so this is basically a brutal crackdown from Donald Trump's America. So I'm with the protesters. I'm with the Wall of Moms. I'm with the leaf blower dads. I'm with the First Amendment. I'm with protest, and I'm with Black Lives Matter, because it turns out they do. Black lives do matter. And no jackbooted federal thugs are going to change that fact. All right. That's it. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for going around the nation with me today. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Let's see. If I recall right, most of the people being kidnapped are not even being charged with anything. Also true. It's an intimidation tactic, and I should have mentioned that as well. Keeping the peace assumes the peace was kept before the protests. I'm just saying that. I wasn't saying that. I was actually saying that their job was supposed to be to keep the peace. Not the federal troops, but the police forces in Portland, which obviously they've been doing a pretty poor job of, which is why we're saying defund the police. So, come on, you guys should know where I stand on that. All right, anyway. Thank you again. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys later.
Please clap.
Mike Pounds.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door. I like my meat tight. Tighten up my meat.